You thought the fallout from the Mueller report was over? Well, think again. Today, a federal judge ruled that redacted portions of the Russia probe should be released to Democrats seeking them. It comes a short time after the U.S. Justice Department launched a criminal investigation into the origins of Mr. Mueller's inquiry. The move allows the prosecutor in charge to exercise additional powers to subpoena witnesses and documents. Mr. Trump addressed the new development on the South Lawn.
Terrible things went on for our country, and we have a great attorney general, highly prestigious man, a very honorable man, and they've been looking at it for a long time. I can't tell you what's happening. I will tell you this. I think you're going to see a lot of really bad things.
And joining me now is former federal prosecutor Joe Moreno. Thanks for being with me.
Great to be here.
Let's start with that decision by the Department of Justice to elevate their inquiry to a criminal investigation. How significant is that, and what additional avenues does that give prosecutors?
Right. So let's assume that's true, right? I'm not sure we've actually confirmed this. I think the DOJ has been quiet about that. But let's assume the reporting is true, and this is no longer an administrative review. It's an actual criminal investigation. That means subpoena power. No more voluntary interviews. If you are compelled, if you're subpoenaed, you are compelled to testify, you are compelled to hand over documents. And of course, it means potential criminal charges. Now, we don't know if this happened, we don't know when this happened, and we don't know what the potential charges would be. But if it's true, it certainly does elevate it to a level of seriousness far beyond the way it started.
Now, we also had an interesting new court development. A judge has ruled that the Justice Department must turn over redacted parts of the Mueller report. I mean, how significant of a win is this for Democrats, and what can they do with that?
It's not a surprise, right? We always have said that Congress has extremely broad powers to get the information it wants. You need a compelling reason to prevent turning over that information. So we always thought it was a time game, right? It was the Trump administration running out the clock, and so they were going to lose. So they've lost now. So it could be appealed, certainly. It could be dragged on a little while longer. But at the end of the day, Congress will get this information. It's not a big surprise, really.
And the Department of Justice says they're considering whether to appeal or not, but the judge also really shot down a key Republican argument, the White House argument, that this is an illegitimate impeachment inquiry. She said actually that there's nothing in the Constitution, essentially, that says you need a House resolution. So where do Republicans go from here in terms of how they've been responding to criticism?
They'll have a very uphill battle in the courts, right? The courts are going to say, to your point, the Constitution does not say how to conduct an impeachment inquiry. We leave it up to the House. And the courts are not going to want to get involved. They're going to say it's a political question. The House deals with an impeachment. If it goes to a trial, the Senate deals with that portion of the process. We courts are not going to get involved. So Republicans could appeal. They can try that. It might buy them some more time. But at the end of the day, they're going to lose. So I think their strategy, which we've seen play out these last few days, is take it to the court of public opinion, right? They're fighting about process. They're saying it's not fair. I'm not sure if they're going to get traction out of that in the polls, but that seems to be where they're focused right now. At some point, they'll have to pivot to substance. But right now, they're complaining about the secrecy, the time delay. Again, probably trying to run out the clock.
Well, okay, speaking of court of public opinion, just briefly, we know that this impeachment inquiry is full steam ahead. We have John Bolton, who will possibly be making deposition, more interviews next week, Democrats wanting to bring this into open hearings eventually. What can we expect? Are Democrats going to be able to get more from these interviews? What are they even still looking for?
Well, I mean, they're clearly focused on the quid pro quo portion of this whole thing, right? I mean, they want to know if it's beyond the four corners of the transcript between the call between President Trump and the president of Ukraine, right? They want to know more than just the president trying to get information from Ukraine, if this was woven into sort of official U.S. foreign policy. Was it tied to military aid? And so clearly, people can disagree on whether they need that portion of this to move forward, but clearly the Democrats think it's important. And so that is seemingly what they're focused on.
Great. Joe Moreno, thank you very much.